The following podcast is brought to you by the Johners Podcasting Network, found exclusively at WrestlingWithJohners.com. We are live back with another episode of Wrestling with Johners, episode 212. We're part of the Johners Podcasting Network, of course. I'm joined all the way over the other side of the pond there, Florida. We got Jason Dugan. How you doing, Jason? Great to have you on the show. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It's always an honor,
No, you're very welcome. You're very welcome. And we mentioned a bit off air, you've been a busy guy the last 24 hours. You were wrestling last night for ARW over in Florida there, defending your ARW Heavyweight Championship. Tell us about that. Tell us about the match. How did it go? I'm guessing that you defended the title successfully.
I did. I wrestled AEW's Ryzen.
Yes. In
a body bag match. And wow. a lot of controversial moments happened. That will be aired on Fight TV.
Of course.
I believe November something. It's in November. There's a lot of controversy behind me retaining the title. A couple of things changed up. The owner of ARW, Alex Red, became the special guest referee, and we had a special appearance. So everybody can check that out.
Lots to tune in for. Fight TV, ARW, and see what goes down there. But that's your Halloween special as well, wasn't it? Blood, Sweat, and Fear 2.
Yeah, it was. It's our annual show every year.
Yeah.
There's always something crazy that happens there at ARW.
Absolutely. And for anybody watching live at home on Facebook Live, on Twitch, or our YouTube channel, you want to drop Jason a question or any comments, do so using your device. It will come through to us, and we'll do our best to answer any questions that you send through to us live on air. But tell us a bit about the show then, because there's obviously a lot to look forward to with ARW on the horizon. Fight TV. There was a Monsters Brawl four-way match as well, I understand. That sounds pretty good. You obviously don't need to let us know any results, but a proper Halloween-themed match there, the Monsters Brawl.
Yeah, we had Kobe Carino, Simbodi, a couple of other people, Dark Chic.
Lilith Grimm as well, yeah.
Yes, her. I love that
Great girl. Yeah, absolutely. We've had her on the show.
Yeah, I'm calling it now. She's going to be the next ARW champ. Women's champ.
There you
calling
go.
it now. Yeah, she's a force to be reckoned with.
Oh, 100%. Now, we mentioned that you are the current ARW Heavyweight Champion. You've only been the champion for a few weeks, I understand. You cashed in the Atomic Drop briefcase after a match between EC3 and Ryzen at Wham Bam Slam a few weeks ago. Tell us about the cash-in, because you spoke about controversy happening on last night's show. Bit of controversy during Wham Bam Slam.
So originally, I've been with ARW for 5 years.
Yeah.
Always been a tag team guy. Worked my way up singles. I took the Rapid Fire Championship, defended it all through the United States, making it an international title. I've watched guys like EC3, Shannon Moore, and Adam Rose, and all these guys coming in, winning the title, whatnot. Got an opportunity in a battle royal that you can get a quick briefcase, cash in on any title you want. So I had my sights set on the title, and at the time, Ryzen was the champion. So I tried to cash in a few times, didn't work out. Tried to use my boys to help me, didn't work out. I almost got him one time, but then Mike Bennett from Ring of Honor gave me a power driver, but that definitely didn't work out. So I was like, well, dang, what can I do so people don't expect me to cash in? So Ryzen's already knows my games. So I waited for EC3, which was a great monkey wrench, because EC3 actually beat Ryzen for the title maybe 2 months beforehand.
Right.
So Ryzen was more focused on EC3 and not me. I was currently the Rapid Fire champion. I faked a knee injury.
Yeah.
I lost my Rapid Fire title, so no one thought I was going to cash in. So Ryzen looked like he was going to win. I came in. hit him from behind with the briefcase, cashed in. There was a small back and forth, and next thing you know, I got the best of him, won the title. So then, I was forced to do the body bag match.
There we go. There we go. But like I say, you've won the Rapid Fire Championship a few times, but it's the first time you've held the big belt. Is that right?
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah, I worked. It was a 5-year journey for it, man. I've not honestly, I was honestly being groomed for it.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of guys like Jesse Neal helped me in the beginning. Adam Rose is a guy, like I just mentioned, a guy that helped me in the beginning. Those were guys that were helping me get better and better. And then I started really getting to my peak of learning how to work in the ring and thinking for myself after all the matches with Elijah Burke and all the matches with JTG.
Yeah.
So I kind of knew I was ready for the title right there and then.
All part of the journey. Yeah.
Yeah. After the matches I had with JTG, the Headbangers and all these guys, I kind of knew I was ready.
Oh, 100%, 100%. I want to get into all of that, Jason, but first I've got to show a quick shout out to our sponsor very quickly. 1310 Apparel are the excellent sponsors of the Johners Podcasting Network and Wrestling with Johners, this very podcast. You can go to their global store on WrestleMerch Central and see all of their cool stuff, their exclusive hardcore range there, their exclusive lucha range, and their more traditional Four Corners and 1310 apparel gear. They sponsor some very popular, very well-known UK wrestlers, Heidi Katrina, for example, Chris Ridgway. And if you're watching or listening to this podcast, you can take advantage of their special deal. You can go to 1310.merch.global or click in the link to the description to this podcast, whether you're watching it on video, live, or on the audio version. Just click in the link or tap in the website there, 13.10.merch.global, and get 10% off at checkout. Just use the discount code 1310WMC. That's 1310 WMC. Take advantage of this awesome deal. But Jason is back over to us now. Tell us a bit more about ARW, because you've been with them for, I think, 4 years now, 4 or 5 years. I mean, they've been going since 2017. So when did you first join ARW as a talent?
Day one.
Really?
I was in training. So I was still training. You never stop training, man. That's one thing about the wrestling business. You don't stop training.
100%.
But I was new. And so I was a referee. ARW brought me in as a referee. I was doing pretty good in the circuit refereeing in Florida. And they knew me as Jeff the Ref. And Alex had an opening for a tag match against Devon's kids. The crowned new tag champions, first ever tag champions, and Jesus Rodriguez, Alberto de Rios' ring announcer at the time.
Yeah.
He couldn't make it to the show. He was going through some personal problems at the time, dealing with some stuff, so he couldn't make it to the show. So Alex knew I was training, thought I was charismatic. He was like, you're pretty good. He said, so let's try you out. Tried me out. Didn't win the titles, obviously. So that's how Brothers in Arms got created, me and another guy. And I wrestled them for like 4 months, and Brothers in Arms started getting over more than Terrence and Terrell.
Yeah.
So it was a no-brainer that obviously we were going to win the tag titles eventually. So I was in my rookie year, I won the tag titles.
That's really cool. That's a big achievement in your rookie year for sure.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Absolutely.
So, from there, I started out, as a referee for one or two matches for Jesse Neal. And then the rest is history. I've been there since then. I've been traveling the circuit.
Oh, 100%, 100%. And I've been educating myself on ARW quite a lot over the last few months. I actually had The Awakening, Big Con and Vic the Space Lord on the show 2 months ago. So I know they're your current tag team champions, unless anything has changed in the last 24 hours. But two top guys and two very experienced guys that know the business inside and out. What's it like to have two experienced pros like Big Con and Vic, they're pretty much every show and kind of helping the talent backstage. It must be kind of a good asset to have, both in the ring and behind the curtain.
I talked to Big Con more. I've even worked him in the ring. That guy, I'm gonna tell you right now, when he decides to hang up the boots, he will be an agent somewhere. He is going to work for AEW or go back to WWE, and he's going to be an agent. I'll tell you that right now. His mind for the business is half the people would wish to have it. And I've been blessed and I've been fortunate to have guys like Elijah Burke that's on me constantly. So my psychology is up point. You know, Elijah, he comes from the old school training, Dusty Rhodes, and he instills that in others, you know. But Khan, man, he's an asset anywhere he goes, Indies, WWE, wherever. He's an asset.
Oh, 100%. You have so many top talent that kind of come through the Florida area, come through ARW. You mentioned the Headbangers, the Headbangers seem to have been going for forever. And I remember watching them back in the 90s, and they don't look any different. They don't perform any different to what they did 25 years ago. They're absolutely awesome. Chris Masters as well, the Colognes, Matt Cardona, Gangrel, Shannon Moore. You mentioned the Pope, Elijah Burke. So many awesome names that don't just pass through ARW. They're regulars on the card, aren't they? So that must be pretty awesome for yourself and for some of the younger talent as well backstage, having that experience, having that decades of knowledge through these top pros that come through ARW. What's it like? I mean, you've been in the business for 5 years now, and you must have young talent backstage that are learning from these guys all the time.
Oh, it helps the product grow. Arguably, we are the #1 promotion in Florida. That's not even an argue. There are some great promotions such as WXW. There's a few other ones that are pretty good, but I think ARW stands out more because we have all that experience sitting in the locker room, on the card. There's never a bad match on the card. Never a bad match. I think it helps the younger talent get better having those guys there. And encourages them, because I know it encouraged me, and it still does, give 100%, 100%, 100%, 100%. All that knowledge and experience from Shannon Moore, Wes Briscoe, and all these other guys that are there, they pass it on. I'll tell you right now, Wes Briscoe is a guy that is so giving that he will stop you, be like, hey, brother, don't do this, do that. This, that, and the other. So it helps because you can't be in a locker room with guys that are 2-3 years in the business. We're all bound to make a mistake. And we're not going to grow if the next person knows as much as you do. So having those guys there really, really sets the tone for the roster.
Yeah, absolutely. And how would you describe the kind of feel backstage at ARW? Because you've got the masses of experience there with some of the names that we mentioned. You've also got some of the guys that have only been in the business 1, 2, 3 years. But what's the general vibe backstage? Is it a good, productive environment backstage at ARW?
It's professional.
Good.
Everyone is working. I can compare it to like MLW. MLW is very professional in the back locker room. Business.
Yeah.
It's nothing but business. I've worked a couple of shows where the locker room is just all over the place because it's nothing but young guys. And then with young people, they're bound to act like a child. They're excited. They're getting to do what they love. So they don't have that tone of professionalism yet. You know, that's something that you learn. I think it's common sense, personally. I think common sense to not run around and hit each other and, you know, none of that. Very professional. And that's how I like my locker rooms, professional.
Oh, absolutely. And you need that mix sometimes. You need that mix of experience and youthful exuberance, really, to make a good locker room, don't you? But I'm glad to hear that you said it's a professional locker room. And like I say, from everything I've seen from ARW, it's an awesome product. Great action, fantastic storylines, and the crowd. I mean, tell us about the fans of ARW. They're loyal, aren't they? They're loyal,
Yeah,
and they are kind of, they love ARW whenever it puts on a show.
oh, that's I do a lot of shows, man, and I think the ARW crowd is super, super loyal, man. Alex has like a following. They love Alex, um, because when he first started ARW, he wasn't thinking of himself like, "Hey, I'm going to do a promotion because I want people to look at me." It was more of a, I want to give back to the wrestling fans because he is a fan himself.
Yeah.
So he knows what he wants to see. He knows what the fans want to see. And at the time, I was friends with Alex before ARW. He encouraged me to start training and everything. And so he wanted to give back to the fans, but also to the wrestlers that were very talented, but didn't really have a place to show their talent or were not getting pushed. I'll give you a great example. You know Chico Adams?
I've heard of the name, sure.
So Chico's done AEW, WWE, whatsoever. And Chico's one of those talents that no one really knew about. No one knew nothing about Chico until he came to ARW. And then people started seeing him. And then now he's going to WWE, AEW, doing all these cool spots. So ARW has set the tone for guys like Chico, and it's easy to say girls like Red Velvet.
Yeah.
Because no one knew who Red Velvet was until she came to ARW. And then she started getting looked at. So ARW has pretty much set the tone for a lot of things and is given a platform and a door for a lot of workers.
Oh, 100%. And like I say, being based in Florida, you've obviously got the WWE Performance Center in Orlando, so just down the road from where you are. You've got AEW. I think they're based, and their offices are in Huntsville, Jacksonville. Sorry, Jacksonville to the north of you. So Florida is a bit of a hub for pretty much everything that's going on pro wrestling wise around your area, and you're kind of in the middle of that. So like you say, ARW is kind of in the center of some pretty exciting things at the moment.
Yeah, we got a lot of big things in the works. It's a blessing. All of it's always a blessing.
Yeah.
You know, it's just Florida's wrestling base. This is wrestling central. I wrestle in North Carolina, Alabama, and all these other places, and it's always those guys who want to come here because it's wrestling central, you know, NXT and everything. I think Florida right now wrestling's very hot because of all these opportunities. AEW, WWE, all these other companies, even indie promotions. You got really, really good indie promotions, such as like OVW, what do you call it? GCW. There's a lot of promotions that people could get seen at. This is a good time to be a wrestler.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, absolutely. Tell us about your love for pro wrestling as a fan then. When did you first come into contact with pro wrestling? I'm guessing as a youngster, Jason.
Yeah, I'm an adopted kid. So my adopted mom loved pro wrestling, and she introduced me into pro wrestling. And I can remember I went as young as I went from loving Power Rangers to pro wrestling.
Yeah.
There was no in between, no Marvels, none of that. DC, it was Power Rangers, wrestling. And I carried that love for wrestling just growing all through life. You know, it's weird because I can't remember anything else that I liked besides pro wrestling. And then I had like my Liz McGuire phase on Disney. I had that phase, you know, but it was still wrestling, you know. Cause I have a friend that jokes me all the time. He remembers like when we were in middle school. I was like, oh, I like Liz McGuire, but I love wrestling. So that was like the
Absolutely.
only, yeah, it was one. I didn't really like anything else but wrestling.
Who were some of your favorites growing up then? When you first kind of got attracted to pro wrestling, who were some of your kind of go-to characters, your go-to wrestling heroes?
I'm going to be honest with you. I am a sucker for old school. And I don't mean like old school, like Gorgeous George or George Animal Steel. I'm like Hogan and Flair and Roddy Piper. And because if you watch some of my wrestling, I'm very athletic, but I'm a lazy wrestler. I'd rather not do a flip. I'll do it if I have to.
You're more of a brawler, aren't you? You're a brawler, I think. Yeah.
And I like the old school style. I love tradition. So Ric Flair, Hogan, or from this day, I'll still watch their matches. Triple H was my favorite growing up. I thought Triple H was cool because he was this cool bad guy.
Yeah.
Loved The Rock. I love The Rock. I love Jericho growing up. Then I had like a John Cena phase. You know, I think everybody liked John Cena in the black community. So John Cena, I had a John Cena phase, but when he got popular, I didn't like him. Yeah. Because I was like, oh man, this guy is no way this guy is beating up Great Khali. I can't take it. Can't watch him anymore. So, you know, I'm a very sucker for old school wrestling, and then, you know, I like Batista. So it was like usually your main guys that were top. I really loved back in the day.
Yeah. And I can relate to, you know, the Hogans and the Flairs. I mean, it's kind of the era that I first encountered wrestling myself, but the storytelling and the character and the larger than life characters and costumes, and like you say, the Ultimate Warrior and that kind of late 80s and early 90s feel was I think, you know, you talk about the Attitude Era and what we've got at the moment, but I think that era of the late 80s and early 90s and those characters was some of the best for sure.
It set the tone, you know. People, you think of the 80s, you think of Hogan. You don't think of freaking Ricky the Dragon Steamboat or Snuka. People, oh, Hogan, you know. Nah, man, every one of those guys played a part back in the day, late 80s, early 90s. If it wasn't freaking Mr. Perfect and all these other guys, Luger. And speaking of Luger, I thought it'd be hilarious. My manager thought it'd be hilarious for me to put a torture rack on somebody in a match.
How did that work out?
Well, it worked out perfectly, but it was funny. Because it was like this poor guy is taking the torture rack by me.
Yeah.
And
go ahead. I was just going to say, when you first started getting into wrestling, and you was probably in middle school and maybe 12 or 13 years old, you got into some trouble, didn't you, Jason, that kind of lasted for a few years. Tell us about that, because I think that's kind of an important part of your journey, an important part of your life that eventually leads into wrestling, doesn't it? But
yeah,
what was you getting up to in those kind of early years when you were getting into trouble on occasions?
I was an angry kid growing up. Earlier, like I said, I was adopted. I didn't know my real parents, and when you're so young, you don't understand. So I just let everything just built up after a while, and I just started hanging out with the wrong people. I started breaking into houses really young too. I think I caught my first charge at 10.
Wow.
Coming first charge at 10. I was just an angry kid, and my adopted mom didn't know what was wrong with me. And just, it's so weird thinking back then, because I was so angry, man. I didn't care about anything, man. And I would fight you, didn't matter. Yeah. So I got into a lot of legal trouble growing up. They put me on probation to my 19th birthday. So I was like 12, 19th birthday. I was so small, I couldn't even reach the podium. Right. The judge had a soft spot for me in her heart. And, you know, eventually I got in trouble again. So they sent me to juvenile programs. I could have got out in 4 months. I didn't get out until a year and 5 months.
Wow.
And I was just angry, so I didn't care. And what do you do with somebody that doesn't care? Something you could do. He's going to have to learn to care. Eventually, I grew up. Ended up going to prison for 5 years. My mom died,
Hmm.
so that took a lot with mom dying, and then I had this lady that was my bus driver. She was very close to my family, and she just kept praying for me, praying for me, praying for me, and then eventually I was saved. You know,
Yeah.
2015, I was saved. I wanted a better life for myself. Um, I learned I had to forgive others and forgive myself for me to move on and have a better life. And when I was able to forgive, I was able to move on. And I didn't feel angry anymore. I was still scared, and I was very hesitant. So when I came out of prison, I went over to a Christian based program because I really wanted to change. I really wanted to make something, and wrestling was always my passion. So I got into wrestling, but I got into wrestling not just because hey, I want the money, I want the fame, I want to be signed. No, it was more of a thing of I was a troubled youth, and there's kids out there right now that also was in my place, and if I could show those kids that you can change your life and you can reach your goals and you can do it too, because for some reason society looks at you as a statistic. You're a statistic, and it sucks. I remember growing up, they'd be like, "Oh, you're a bad kid. You're a bad kid," and that's what made me kept doing it.
Yeah.
So if I'm a bad
Because
kid,
you
I'm
were
just gonna do
labeled.
it.
You were labeled as that was it. That was your tag. Yeah.
Yeah, and it wasn't that I was a bad kid. I was a kid that was going through a lot
Sure.
emotionally, and I didn't know how to react in a positive way. And I really didn't have anybody to help me. My mom was on oxygen, so it was all so much she can do. And I was young, so I could run all over her, and she didn't. It was nothing she could do. So I got in a lot of trouble growing up as a kid, and I don't use it as a crutch. It's a positive thing. I'm happy to say that getting in trouble and going through what I went through in life made me the man that I am now, because I can see things a lot clearer, and I'm ahead of the game where it's like, oh well, I wouldn't
Yeah.
do this, I wouldn't do that. Um, I've been there, done that. I've seen a lot of bad stuff, especially being incarcerated.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
I was in there with the worst of the worst, and it taught me I can be a statistic and a number, or I can be a productive member of society and be successful and use my bad history to stop some other kid that's actually going in that same route. Angry, frustrated, doesn't understand. And if I can help him understand, just one, that's all that matters to me. Just even one, that I did my job, man. It's not about fame and fortune. It's about trying to help someone.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a really inspiring story. And thank you for kind of going through that. I appreciate it. But like I say, it'd be pretty cool. Obviously, wrestling and to a certain degree, religion kind of turned your life around, and kind of that you're inspired now to help others the same way that you were helped.
Right? It's
But
a it's a
go ahead.
blessing. It's
Yeah.
a blessing because pro wrestling, it teaches you how to respect and show passion in what you're doing. Um, like I said earlier, Jesse Neal was one of the first people that taught me respect. It was helping me. And then Elijah Burke, I have nothing but good things to say about Elijah. Didn't know me at all and took me under his wing. And he told me, he's like, man, because he calls me Doogie. He's like, Doogie, we're gonna be joint to the hip for a very long time, kiddo. Um, so he's always took me under the wing, and I think he saw I went through a lot growing up. So, and he's a very religious man too. Pope.
Yeah.
If you know anything about Elijah Burke, then you know he's very religious. He has charity fund that he does through his church to help the homeless. So he's a good man. I've been blessed because I consider people like Elijah, Alex Red, my manager, all these people that came into my life, my girlfriend, um, they're instruments, you know, a part of my testimony
Yeah.
of my life, because personally, I know a lot of people that were in my situation that just keep going in that situation, and they don't have people to help them change their life around. So they just stay. I was blessed to have people in my life, such as my step parents and all these people, man. So I feel like it was like, I don't know if you're a religious man. I am. I feel God, put these people in my life for a reason, and now I'm able to pay it forward. And even with wrestling bookings, they're younger talent that are trying to get looked at in the circuit, and I've been blessed to have a lot of connections, with ARW outside of the area, and I'm able to share it with everyone else. And
Yeah.
I pay it forward because there were people in the business that didn't have to help me, but they did because they saw something in me.
That's
So
really cool.
I'm a big believer in paying it forward.
That's really cool. That's really cool. And sometimes you don't see enough of that in everyday life or, in wrestling, but that's really cool. I want to talk a bit more about Elijah Burke, because you've mentioned him a few times during this podcast, and I know that he's an inspiration, an influence to yourself, but he's also been a bit of a fierce rival of yours over the years as well, hasn't he? Certainly, mostly in ARW, but one or two other promotions, you've wrestled one another several times over the last 3 or 4 years for the Rapid Fire Championship as well. And I think you probably wrestled him back last month for ARW as well for the Rapid Fire title. But tell us about that rivalry, because that rivalry has probably been, I think, out of all of your rivalries, that's probably the one that stands out the most.
Pope King ARW. And you already know he's the Pope, So we ended up having matches, and they were always good.
Yeah.
He ended up beating me for the Rapid Fire too, and ended up getting it back a month later in an I Quit match. And he's always, each one of those matches have always been a learning curve. So it's always strived me to get better, and I would always fight him even more. And he always brings the best out of me every time. But he's definitely one of my top rivalries, because we wrestled at ARW, but we also wrestled elsewhere as well.
Yeah.
Rekindling the rivalry. Only time to tell. We'll end up doing it again, to be honest with you.
I'm sure it'll happen. I mean, one clip that I saw online a day or so ago was, I don't know if Eddie Guerrero is one of your heroes or influences, but it's the chair spot where the referee had his back turned. You hit the canvas with the chair. You threw it to Elijah.
Oh, yeah.
You then roll around on the floor in agony. The referee turns around, and the first thing he sees is Elijah Burke with a chair. You rolling around as if you've been walloped across the back of the head. That's a great spot. And I must admit, when I saw it, I thought, excellent. All credit to you. But that must have been a lot of fun to put together.
Oh, yeah. That Guerrero was one of my favorites growing up too.
Sure.
It only made sense. I wasn't gonna beat Pope beating us up.
A nice little tribute to Latino heat there for sure. But let's talk a bit about your in-ring style now, then, Jason. How would you describe your in-ring style? Because I think we've already discussed that you're a bit of a brawler. You like the old school storytelling more than the flippy moves, but you do pull out some pretty cool moves. I've noticed you do like a cutter or an RKO, your super kick, and your flatliner are some of your signature moves. But tell us about your in-ring style. How would you describe it?
I'm more of a brawler. I'll fight you. I'm not the biggest guy, but if you see me in the ring, I've always been in there with some of the biggest guys. So I have a really good striking game. I boxed for a while, so I have a boxing history. So it helps fighting guys, because if I hit you, you're gonna feel it. But I'm also athletic, so if I have to hit a front flip or back flip or whatever, I'll hit it. And I'm pretty good with submissions, so I can always come up with something good. But that's just training with like guys like Simon Gotch or Grimm now.
Yeah.
To help with the submissions and stuff like that. So I'm more of a brawler, man. I'm all about storytelling, and I'm all about psychology. I will not do anything that won't make sense. I'm not gonna pick you up if you're 7 foot tall. I had matches with Madman Fulton multiple times, and I would never pick him up. I sprayed him in the eyes with mace or hit him in the back of the head with a can. But I'm all about psychology.
100%. And your character, your gimmick, for anybody that's not too familiar with you and what you do in the ring, what's your personality like in the ring? How would you describe your gimmick?
Just a kid from the streets. I'm just a kid from the streets, man. And when people look at me, you won't think I'm smart. You know, stereotypical people is, oh, street guy. Oh no, you know, like, but I can think on my feet, and that helps me win because I'm able to think on my feet and I'm able to outsmart somebody because they're not going to expect it from me. Yeah. So I like being the underdog where people are like, oh, he ain't gonna win, and then I pull out a victory. You know, it's like, oh, what the heck, you know. So I've made a career off of that so far. Is I always pull out unexpected wins or unexpected moves. Like I know people freak out when I do the code red. It's like, because it's a move I don't do, you know, but he does it, you know. I can do a lot of different moonsaults and all this other stuff, and I won't do it because you look at me, I shouldn't be doing that. It doesn't make sense. But there's every now and then I'm all about jumping and doing something cool, and it's like, oh crap, like he just did it. I know yesterday I hit Ryzen during the body bag. He came at me and I hit him with a shoulder tackle from the ring, and I front flipped back into the ring out of nowhere, caught him with a cutter.
Nice.
Because he wasn't expecting it, because I don't do it. You know, I don't do front flips. So I knew I had to use something to get him off his feet where he unexpected. So if any wrestler out there, always don't do the same stuff. Always have something unexpected. If you're used to seeing a person do punches and kicks, and then that's what you're prepared for me to do. But if I come out of nowhere to back flip and all this front flip and out of nowhere hit you with a move, it's like, oh, what the heck?
There you go. There you go. But we've had a comment or two from YouTube. We've got, let's see, Supreme Deity. This dude is absolutely class. He needs to come to the UK. Someone book this legend. So you've got a fan from Supreme Deity there looking to get you over to the UK. Have you any desire to come over the pond and wrestle over in the UK?
I've actually been looking at a few promotions in the UK because that is one of my goals, is the UK. I would love to be at the UK, man. It's freaking, who wouldn't, you know?
It'd be great to have you over here for sure. I think you'll get in well. You'll kind of mix in well with the promotions over here for sure. You'll be popular.
I think my style would work because the UK is more about they're not babies over there, man. They hit you over there.
Oh yeah,
you know, they hit you, and I like that.
Oh yeah, there's definitely a British strong style. There's definitely a hard style of wrestling over here. Like you say, we don't hold back. But tell us about Brother in Arms, because you mentioned Brothers in Arms earlier. Is it Ray Zion that's your long-term tag team partner? But it's more of a faction nowadays, isn't it? I think there's been.
He's not. Ray's not there anymore.
Oh, he's not. Tell us about Brothers in Arms and its current kind of status. Who's part of Brothers in Arms?
I mean, I have no problem telling you why Ray ain't with us. I mean, right now the faction is with me.
Yeah.
Frank Saltarelli, the manager, and Money Making Shay, and Mbadu from AEW.
Right.
Originally it was me and Ray Zion. We had a falling out. I started getting more successful than him, and he just didn't like it. So we just went back and forth for a while. I'm all about business, and our passions are different. He's all about fame and fortune and trying to, hey, look at me, titles. And it's a word in the business that people use for guys like that. And the word is mark. He's a huge mark. He's not good in the ring. He was never able to execute what I needed. There were guys such as Andrew Everett. You ever heard of him?
I have, yeah.
Andrew Everett. I worked him as well in the past. I remember Andrew Everett despised him. Elijah Burke. Elijah don't hate people, but I have a feeling that he hates him. Ray was very difficult to work with, but he was my long-term partner,
Sure.
and he's not there anymore. We haven't been together in a year. I'm doing really good, and I don't know what he's doing, to be honest with you. He kind of like fell off the circuit.
Yeah. Well, like I
but
say, you're being successful, you know, at the other end of that partnership, especially as the ARW Heavyweight Champion. So, yeah, absolutely. But go on.
But the guys I have now, they're really good. They're passionate. Money Making Shay, he's a guy you'll hear about in the next few years. He's blowing up really good. He's a big guy. He's a great look. His work is top notch. Frank is the manager. He's the mouthpiece for us.
The picture here is this the collection here?
Yeah. Oh yeah, and then Loki's with us.
Loki, legend.
Yeah. And Loki's the experience. Loki's a great experience, man. He's a guy I can come to whenever I need something and ask for advice. And man, that guy is a book of knowledge. People are just intimidated by him, but really, he's a really sweet guy.
Yeah,
it's good. He has that intimidation look on his face.
He's got that mean exterior, isn't he? Yeah. He's always business.
He makes me nervous sometimes. Man. Look, he about to kick me, man. But I love Loki, man. Loki's a great guy, man. I know there's a lot of people in the business that don't like him, but wrestling business is like high school.
Sure.
You're not gonna like somebody, you know. You're not gonna like it. We all have different personalities, so you know, there's a lot of you don't like me, you know, and a lot of people I don't like. Business wise, that's where stands, you know, the children and the professionals. Yeah. You know, we're all professionals. We do this we love. Even you know, you run a podcast. Yeah. You know, you do it for the love of wrestling. 100%. So all of us are all professional, you know.
Yeah, 100%. Tell us a bit about MLW, because you've had your MLW experience. You've had some matches in MLW. Another great experience, another great opportunity for you, Jason. But how did that all come about? And tell us about your kind of few matches in MLW, because that's a big deal.
Hopefully I'll be there this coming up November. I think I will be. Cool. So the guy who is heavily in MLW remembered me when I first started out. He paid attention to my stuff. He's been watching me for like 4 years, and then he hit me up, you know, and he was like, "Hey, you want to come to MLW, do some stuff?" I'm like, "Yeah," and that's how it came about. That guy's always been good to me, and he's one of the bookers there for MLW. So he knew who I was from when I first started. He's the one that actually told the school I was at to not let me be a ref. He's like, "I think he's good enough to be a wrestler. Let him be a wrestler." And so MLW ended up coming right about, and I was, "Oh man, thanks." So I like it over there at MLW. I'll probably be doing more stuff with them. It all depends.
That's really cool. That is really cool. And we spoke a bit about ARW at the beginning of the show, and we spoke about all the top names that come through Florida and have become regulars with ARW. But backstage, there must be a lot of younger talent. An opportunity for you to kind of shout out any kind of names backstage at ARW, or the younger talent that probably don't get as much recognition. But any of the younger, newer talent that kind of deserves a bit of a shout out on this show, for example.
So many, it's kind of hard to just pick one or two. Jerry Swirls. I don't know if you know who he is. He has
I've definitely heard of him, yeah.
Yeah, Golden Girls gimmick. The kid is hilarious. He's like the modern day Santino Marella. He's someone that I've watched. His ability in the ring, you could tell he worked for it. Because you look at him, you could tell he doesn't have any. He's not athletic, you know. He doesn't have a wrestling ability. So everything he's gotten, he's worked for, and you know, he's one of my closest friends. So I've watched him from the beginning to where he is now. He wrestled Teal Piper last night, which that was a hilarious match. He's someone that I think he deserves recognition, you know, for a lot of stuff that he's done.
Yeah.
There's Cam Stewart, he's really good. Alex Todd, he's really good. Then there's Jody Morton. She's very, very good. I think someone needs to look at her. She's a powerhouse. And then my girlfriend, she's honestly, not because she's my girlfriend, but I think she's probably one of the best pure talents as a female worker because she wrestles. Like, she knows how to work. Like, she's a shooter. So she's a girl that I feel like needs to be looked at as well.
Yeah.
But these individuals that I'm saying, they have to work just as hard to be looked at. So it's never a day where you can just slack and not do anything. So it's all about working hard. You know, everything I got right now is because I worked hard. 100%. And the grind doesn't stop. I have so much going on half the time where I forget things. So then I have to like look at everything and go, oh yeah, I gotta do this.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of great young talent, not even in ARW, just in general that I know I've seen on the circuit, great talent.
Oh, well, I think that since wrestling's come back, you know, we're kind of at the back end of the pandemic now, hopefully, but and wrestling is really thriving all over the world, and the independent scene, I think, is as hot as ever, to be honest with you. And there's so many excellent independent promotions around the UK and in North America, and you mentioned earlier around Florida as well. It's a real hotbed for professional wrestling at the moment. There's so much awesome young talent that are coming through, but that's really, really good to see, isn't it?
Yeah, man, I'm glad wrestling's coming back. I mean, COVID kind of hurt a lot of things, hurt a lot of promotions. I know a lot of promotions that I was like working for that kind of shut down, closed their doors, but now I'm seeing a lot of promotions coming back. Man, like I said, it's a great time to be a wrestler, man. Like
so many opportunities, so many good promotions to get noticed in.
Yeah, if you're a wrestler, man, you better be booked every week. If you're not booked every week, you ain't doing something right.
Yeah,
I'm booked every week.
Yeah.
So, and it's a blessing, you know, to be booked.
100%. And speaking of that, as we start to wrap up, then, Jason, what's your bookings like over the next few weeks? I mean, any more ARW shows to look forward to? How busy are you going to be over the coming weeks?
I'll be super busy like always. Next week, I'll be over at Magic City, South Florida. I've had a good rivalry over there with the Colognes for quite a while. ARW will be back November 27th, and then I got WXW, the tag team tournament, the Wild Samoans Cup tournament. Nice. I'll be a part of that. I think this will be my third or fourth time being part of it. So there's a lot going on. I'll be in Alabama coming up as well. I have a lot going on.
Like you say, you booked every week. That's really good.
So it's a blessing, man. It's a huge blessing, and I'll be in pain. I'm always in pain, but it's rewarding. You know, absolutely. I love what I do, you know, and I can never take it for granted. Never take it for granted.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, from what I've seen and the research I've put into you, you're absolutely killing it and doing a fantastic job. You're the ARW Heavyweight Champion, and you're only 5 years into the business, so doing some awesome stuff, my friend, and a very, very bright future ahead of you. But before we let you go, an opportunity, Jason, to throw out any socials. So if any of my listeners or viewers want to get in touch, want to see more about Jason Dugan, where can they do that on your various social platforms?
It's very easy. All you got to do, wherever social media, they just got to type in Jason Dugan and I pop up. It's like the name ain't common or something.
Yeah. Yeah, no, like I say, very easy to find on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Go out there, say hi, learn more about Jason Dugan. And do you have any merch or anything you want to push while you're on the podcast, Jason?
No, actually, I don't. I do need to make merch. I'm glad you reminded me about that for marketing reasons.
Yeah. No, but Get some merch soon, I'm sure. But Jason, it's been awesome speaking to you for the last 50 minutes or so. It's been a pleasure having you on the Wrestling with Jollers podcast. And stay well and have a great weekend, my friend. Thank you.
You too, brother.
Take care.